everyone, welcome. FPLMattDay here, and this is my wildcard draft for game week 21. Remember, we are now on to our second wildcard of the season. We're in the second half of the season now at the halfway mark of FPL, and your budget may not be as large as other managers. It may be smaller, depending on how your players have increased or decreased through the season. So just as a quick disclaimer, this team is based on my squad's team value, and I'll be using FPL team to create this draft. And I'll go through game weeks 21 up to 24, which should be the time that the likes of Son and Salah come back from international break. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button, give the video a like, and be sure to get your comments in with any wildcard thoughts, headaches, captain options, anything you want to ask ready for game week 21 and beyond. I will start now, share the screen, and let's go into my goalkeeper choice. And I don't think there's too many surprises. Areola away to Sheffield United in game week 21. Good goalkeeper to have, a couple of clean sheets in a row now, up there as one of the top point scorers now due to his recent form. Really good value. Starts for West Ham in the league. So well worth keeping hold of Areola if you've got him, or bringing him in as some budget value. I'll move on to the defense in a second. You'll quickly see there's 2.1 million in the bank. And I'll talk about why that 2.1 million is in the bank soon as I go through the video. So just keep that in mind. But Areola is my goalkeeper, number one goalkeeper for this weekend and for wildcard managers. So let's go into that defense. It's a back four for this weekend. As you can see, Pedro Porro, really strong form this season. Plenty of assists. Once Spurs get Van de Ven and Romero back together, expect clean sheets to be part of those assists. And he did just score in the FA Cup as well. So there's a goal threat coming from Pedro Porro. Great asset to have. Do not sell him if you've got him, and look to bring him in if you don't. Alongside him, Trent Alexander-Arnold is a great Liverpool option to have right now. Away to Bournemouth in game week 21. Brilliant in the FA Cup over the weekend against Arsenal with an assist. He also hit the bar. Liverpool have a really tight and strong defence currently as well. So Alexander-Arnold playing in that right side position, but he becomes inverted, sometimes moves into midfield. Definitely someone to consider in your teams. Also potentially a captain option for game week 21. So Trent for me is someone that you need to keep or buy. And then alongside him, Estupiñán scored on his return against Spurs a couple of game weeks ago. Brighton then keeping their first clean sheet of the season in game week 20. Good run of games for Brighton going forward. Estupiñán, we know how good an asset he is. Even if Brighton don't keep clean sheets, he has that attacking threat in his locker, and a home game this weekend to go with it. And then Gusto, that budget option there. Fulham at home, you can pick him up for 4.1 million. Chelsea haven't been the best this season, but defensively, they do pick up the odd clean sheet, and Gusto in that wing-back position can get assists as well. We saw that early on in the season against Luton. Currently starting while James is out. So he is someone to keep in that position right now. And if for whatever reason he loses his place, you can make easy changes in that position to the likes of, say, Charlie Taylor. Is an easy option. There's another option as well, which is already on the bench for this squad, which I'll go through, but I won't talk about him just yet. So let's go into the midfield. And it's a midfield four there as well for this game week. But you will see this is a flexible squad. There is bench options as well. No Salah and no Son does give you a lot of flexibility in the squad. Lots of money to play with. But we'll go more into some options of bringing at least one of them back into our teams if need to be later on in the video. But Saka there, captain's armbands on him for now, based on having a fixture in game week 2. Arsenal, really poor form at the moment, but surely Saka and Arsenal will be chomping at the bit for some goals and returns against Palace at home. Palace could be on the end of an upset Arsenal, which is why Saka is probably my slight favourite for captain right now. Although it's difficult because I do like Trent as well. Foden, great game week in game week 20. Really good in the FA Cup as well for City. Looks like he's nailed his place for now. Not always the case, but whilst there's no Champions League during this January period, I think Foden is pretty safe. And again, you'll see later on in the vid, it's very flexible to get Foden out if needed. Cole Palmer, another popular captain option for game week 21, home to Fulham, must have right now. He's definitely not just a 5 sort of million budget option. He's 7.5 to 8 million midfielder right now on his form, maybe even higher. And then Richarlison, penalty taker for Spurs, in my opinion, while Son is away, playing in the central role. Really found his form under Ange. 5 goals in 5 matches, looking really, really good. Great Son replacement at this stage as well. And I can't see him losing his place, even with the Werner signing. He's just on too good form. Spurs need that consistent centre forward, which Richarlison wasn't, but he is currently. And he's a midfielder who will get those extra points. So let's go into the front two. And there is a surprise omission right now in the starting lineup, which you will see shortly. Actually, we'll go back into the midfield, before I go through the strikers in detail. We'll talk about the midfield quickly. No Jared Bowen, injured for West Ham in the FA Cup. You can wait on news, but with them playing in the second week, so the next game week goes over 2 game weeks. They play in the second game week against Sheffield United. It could be too much of a risk to wait on Bowen. So this team doesn't include Bowen due to his current ankle injury he picked up in the FA Cup. He walked off quite gingerly. He was helped off the pitch. I wouldn't take that risk. You can always swap him in for Foden at a later stage, or Saka if you really need Bowen. So quick disclaimer on Bowen, but we'll carry talking on about the strikers now. So let's go through my forwards. And Ivan Toney back in the team, scored a hat-trick for Brentford in an under-23s game. But have a look at this. Have a look at this. That's his. That does look like his end-of-season fixtures, which I'd love to go through now. They look very, very good, don't they? Seeing him back. But this is his next set of fixtures. Home to Forest, 4.9 expected points. Away to Spurs, who have been conceding goals. Home to Man City, looks tough, but he's got a good record against them. Away to Wolves, home to Liverpool, away to West Ham. The fixtures may look patchy, but Toney is a big source of goals for Brentford. Penalty taker, free kick taker. If you get him in early on a wild card as well, there's plenty of good games in the second half of the season to capitalize on. So I'm actually really liking him as a big differential as well for this last part of the season. 0.4% ownership as well. So he could come up with an absolute bang at home to Forest this weekend. Definitely a captain option for Ivan Toney. Now he is back from his ban, and that could be a really big curveball. And then Watkins, consistent performer so far this season, easily stays in on this wild card. Everton away. So let's go into the substitutes bench. You can see the keeper, David Raya. Don't normally like spending more than 4.5 million on a keeper. He is 4.9 million currently. Palace at home, but it gives you that Arsenal coverage. Good fixtures coming up. A lot of people have Saliba, Gabriel. So it just gives you that little bit of a shield and coverage that's needed, and a good rotation with Areola. Then you've got Erling Haaland on the bench currently. Obviously, you'll find a way for him in that team if you need to, if he's declared fit, but you've got to have him in a wild card ready for game week 22 at home to Burnley. And then Garnacho, really easy budget 5th midfielder. Looks like he's starting for United, chipping in with goals and assists as well. Could potentially be the new Cole Palmer, but without pens. And then that other defender I was talking about, cheap and cheerful, Branthwaite, Everton, they can keep it tight. They've shown they can get 4 to 5 clean sheets in a row. They did that recently. I think it was 4, potentially 5 clean sheets they made before, obviously, Spurs beat them 2-1. So, yeah, Branthwaite, great budget pick. And there's not huge amounts of clean sheets in defense this season. So you can definitely have at least 2 budget defenders. So let's go on to the full squad on screen here. And there you can see it, 4-4-2 this week. You can easily change that, make it flexible into a 3-4-3 if Haaland needs to come in. So there's lots of moves that can be made. You could potentially bench Pedro Porro with the United away game, and then bring in Haaland if you want to, or move off another one of these defenders. Because, yeah, you're going to have to get Haaland in there if you think he's fit and ready to start. But that's why I've got him on the bench, as he may not play this game week. So let's move on to the next couple of game weeks just to see what this team would look like in game week 22. And if I had this squad, this is what I would probably play in game week 22. Again, though, there's flexibility for someone like Branthwaite to come on, Garnacho, between Raya and Areola. It's a bit of a flip of a coin as well. You captain Haaland, home games for Foden there, Richarlison, Porro, Trent. So they have a pretty strong team. You could probably roll the transfer if you needed to make sort of a sideways move anywhere in this team. I'd recommend not spending too much more money and keeping that 2.1 in the bank, because we'll go to game week 23. And again, you can play this very similar squad, 4-4-2. You even got a bench there of Tony, Branthwaite, Garnacho, Areola, Captain Haaland away to Brentford. Again, if you want to bring someone like Bowen in at this point, you can swap him out for Saka. If Saka's still under fire and not performing, so there's a lot of potential. 2 million is in the bank there right now. And then we go into game week 24, which is the game week we potentially expect to see the likes of Son and Salah back around this time, if all goes to plan. And you go back into a 3-5-2, and the transfer is Salah comes in for Foden. It could also be Saka, depends on what you want to do. You'd have another transfer in the bank. You would have already used your 2 transfers. You've got 2 because you've rolled them over the last couple of game weeks as well. So you bring Salah in for Foden, and then Archer can come in for either Tony or Watkins, whichever one you want to transfer out. So plenty of flexibility if you go with this wildcard draft from game week 21. So there you have it. That's my FPL wildcard draft and thoughts for game week 21 and onwards. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button, give the video a like, and get your comments in as well with any questions. Thanks to everyone that's tuned in. Good luck for game weeks 21 and beyond. I'm FPLMattDay, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.